All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Frostbyte. Thank you so much for coming in today. I want to thank you all for being here and get ready for a fun discussion. We pulled a lot of information together. There are a couple things that I want to say up front, a couple disclaimers, if you will. Number one, the information we're talking about, we're not attorneys, we're not judges, we're not legislative officials, we are not legal counselors, we're not economists. We're a couple people who are interested in this hobby. We have a good understanding of a bunch of the pretenses that are happening here. We've talked to a number of people. We've done a lot of research, and we want to bring what we know to you. Stop some of the craziness that's out there about everybody has to collect something, but really just kind of talk about what we know right now. Discuss. That's basically what we're here for, is to discuss. And keep in mind, you're absolutely right. Nothing is written in stone yet. So it's a discussion. There's been an executive basically tell to somebody, hey, this is what I want you to do. Is he within his rights? We're going to talk about that. Is it legal? We're going to kind of bypass that question because even the lawyers and the judges are discussing that right now. So who are we to say yes or no? But we are going to be talking over a couple of the items. And right now I have somebody who you guys know quite well, Miss Paula Bloom. Hey, Paula.
Hey, surprise, surprise. Paula's
Surprise,
on.
surprise. I told you to be up in a second. Um, but I've invited one or two other people. I haven't heard from my fourth guest, but hopefully the third guest will be able to join. Me's like, not her.
I know. Sorry. Wah,
So
wah.
yeah. But basically what we want to do is we want to just kind of go over a couple things, dispel some of the concerns that are here, and really just talk to you guys about what's going on. So the first things first, is the penny going to die? No. What was said is the stopping of production. Now, when they talk about the stopping of production, Paula, you said you pulled the numbers. You want to talk about how many
Yeah.
numbers have already been minted just in the month?
They have already minted 242,400,000 cents for 2025 between Philadelphia and Denver.
Yeah.
Already.
So they're not hurting right now. I mean, we're only in the 10th of February, and we already got 240
they've
million.
already minted.
Yeah.
They've already minted more nickels so far than they did the entire year last year. So.
Yeah. So first off, let's take this in context. Okay. The mint is moving forward. The context was, hey, Department of the Treasury, we want you to stop the production, the current minting of pennies. That was it. It's not we're getting rid of pennies. The
Said on
executive
a plane on the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. With a bunch of media there, and
30,000 feet up in the air.
Exactly. So what does that actually mean? So let's kind of talk about that a little bit. So first off, when we look at stopping the minting production, for those of you who aren't aware, in order for the United States Mint to process any coin, there has to be a law passed. Period. End of story. There has to be a coin act. There has to be descriptions of the metallurgical makeup. They have to talk about the denominations, what's going to be on the coin. They have to talk about the general numbers, anything that they're sponsoring. It has to go through a huge group, CCAC. It has to go through a whole bunch of things to be able to identify, yes, it's good, we're okay. As you've heard us talk about before, we've talked about things like national security. Are there any concerns with national security? Once that's done, everything is good. Then Congress signs off on it and it gets signed into law. Once that happens, then the mint is given authority to begin processing those. So you can't just go and say, we're done, we're going to stop, we're going to finish. There's actually a law preventing that from happening. So
Did you send the link to him in his email?
I did.
Yeah, see, he said you said 8:30.
I told him twice. We went to a bunch of different things, but it's all good.
Okay. I'm telling
I
you.
did tell him 8:30 originally, but I did correct. So, but again, folks, just kind of understand the general pretense, right? We've talked about Coinax. I did a whole thing on Coinax all the way up until, 10, 15 years ago. But there's a lot of law, there's a lot of legality going on. Now,
Yes, Eric.
hey, what's going on? Is the half cent the only retired type coin?
It's the last cent that
Yeah.
the U.S. government canceled. The half cent. Mm-hmm.
So the 3 cent nickel and the 3 cent dime, they
Those
just
aren't cents.
they just expired, right?
Those aren't cents.
Well, they were a nickel and a dime, but they expired, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They just didn't renew them instead of shutting them down. So there's a couple things that I want to go through. So first off, let's do a little bit of legalese and talk U.S. Constitution. You good for that, Paula?
Yeah. you are, so you could just go right ahead.
I am. So the first thing I want to talk about is everybody talks about Article 1, Section 10. And if you don't know what it says that no state shall enter into any treaty, federation, grant letters of marque, reprisal, emit bills of credit, make anything gold or silver coin, but intend to repayment of debts. We've heard about this when I talked about the Texas legislation about the gold being backed here in the Texas dollar. They shouldn't pass any laws or impairment obligation contracts, no title of nobility. So there's a lot of people saying, well, they can't really do that. It says that it's illegal. It's done by the Congress. It's only by the consent of Congress. President has no say in this. But there are other clauses that happen because of his position and title and who the president gets to appoint because of his presidency. So they get to his or her presidency. So they get to appoint their cabinet. They get to appoint certain members. They even get to appoint temporarily members of the House or Senate, should they not be filled, until that term ends so that they can find somebody else and vote accordingly. But there are some things, if you look at Section 8, so look at Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5, it's that Congress, and this is another one that people are stating, the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duty, imposts, and excises. I think that's supposed to be imports, and excises to pay the debts to provide the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be informed through the United States. They can borrow money, commerce with foreign nation, establish uniform rule of naturalization, subject of bankruptcy throughout the United States, coin money to regulate the value thereof, and foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. So that's what Congress's responsibility is. But if you go to Article 2, Section 3, and you read the presidential disclaimer that is found in the White House. Now, all of these items are found in the description. If you want to know where I got them, you want to look at them, the links to all of these are there. I want you guys to be completely informed. So all of these links are already posted. So full on transparency. You know exactly where these things come from. But on the White House, and I'm going to stop everybody real quick. This came in Obama's time. This came in Trump's time. This came in Biden's time. So I looked at all three presidents. I posted the two. They're exactly the same. This is the position of the president. And I want to read something here. It says, under Article 2 of the Constitution, the president is responsible for the execution and enforcement of the laws by Congress. 15 executive department, each led by an appointed member of the president's cabinet. Okay, that's really important because when you're talking about the Treasury, again, we're talking about appointed individuals, okay? Now, they reference CIA, EPA, and some of the other appointed, along with Federal Reserve Board, Security Exchange Commissions, judges, ambassadors, etc. Okay, so there's a long slew of people who the president gets to appoint. Now, the president has the power to sign legislation into law or veto bills. We know this. And with that, they have the opportunity to execute orders or direct executive officers to or clarify, help with implementing existing laws. Okay, so that's a big deal. We have the coins, they're already there, they're already in law, not a big deal. Here's where the little zinger comes in, okay? And this is, although the president may fulfill this requirement, when the powers come, several responsibilities among them are a constitutional requirement from time to give Congress information on the state of the union, recommended to their consideration through measures, and he shall judge us as necessary or expedient. Now, if he considers something expedient, now, the thing here is he doesn't have to do this in an inaugural year. Obviously, he's not elected until or inaugurated until end of January, February. So he doesn't have to do that. But if he deems that something is expedient, he can take action on it through an executive order. And I believe this is what he's done. Now, he can't change the law, but if the Secretary of the Treasury deems that they've already minted and have enough pennies, he's in his right to say, yes, we can halt production. And that is 100% legal. That is 100% within his right. So from that, it's not Trump or the president saying, stop. It's, hey, I want you to stop this. He can look at the information. And if the information is in fact, yes, we have enough, then he can stop it, no problem. And the fact that they've already minted 240 million of them in up until February is a pretty good indicator that we're probably on target to do that fairly shortly. Will they do that? That's what we don't know. Now, will they go farther? And that's where the legalities come in. So I want you to guys have a good basis on this. So he does have the opportunity. He does have the right to tell people in his cabinet and through those people to, hey, I would like you to and do this. Again, now it becomes legislative and judicial gets involved and they want to check that. We've seen this through multiple stages. But one other thing that I want to read you, and it's going to take me a second because as we were doing this, I just closed something. But this is taken from the Associated Press. Take it or leave it for what it is. I'm going to read it exactly what it is. But this information came from an interview with Lawrence Tribe and Carl Loeb. They are professors of constitutional law at Emeritus and University of Harvard. They said the U.S. Code gives the Treasury Secretary the authority to mint and issue coins in the amounts the Secretary decides are necessary to meet the needs of the states. If the Treasury Secretary deems it necessary for the penny to be zero, in other words, we don't need anymore, he is well within his legal rights to stop the production. And then they go on to say that nothing in this, and again, this article is there, again, nothing in this appears to be illegal because it's all under the discretion of the Treasury Secretary. Frosty, am I an attorney? I am not, but I love to research stuff.
He plays one on TV.
Yeah, I stayed at a Holiday Inn once.
Oh, yeah,
no, I am not an attorney. But again, this is why I can't say if it's legal or not. And I said this at the very beginning. I can't disclaim anything like that. I'm not going to judge on whether it is illegal or not. What I can say is that in looking at this information and taking the word deference to expertise, you guys will hear me say that quite frequently. And deference to expertise is leave it in the hands of the people who do this. There are University of Professor of Constitutional Law at Emeritus and University of Harvard. These guys are qualified to talk about this all day long. So I'm going to take what they say and say, okay, they have a pretty good idea. Now, can Trump just say, and the penny? That's what we're going to talk about. He cannot. Okay, he cannot.
No, he can't. So there are legislators and other people who for decades have tried to get rid of the cent. And they haven't been able to. And there's so much more that goes into this. I didn't realize until I started researching it. I spent the entire day today looking stuff up. And there is so much. So I love my president. I love my president. I'm so happy he's our president. And you guys, whatever your opinion is, that you're allowed it. It's fine. However, my president's a big blowhard, and he says stuff.
Yeah.
And people take what he says and they run with it.
Yep. You got to be careful with that.
So he may have mentioned, hey, maybe, I just heard that it costs 3 cents to mint a penny. Is that true? Yes, Mr. President, that's what I read too. Well, maybe we should stop producing it then. That's a great idea, Mr. President. Now, this happened at like 35,000 feet up in the air with an entire press pool all around him. Do you think maybe the story's gotten a little bit out of hand because they didn't have time to do any research? So, hi, friend.
What's up?
Good morning.
So,
Y'all know that voice, right? If you don't know that voice, that is the famous or infamous, however he wants to classify himself, Mr. Coppercoins himself, Mr. Chuck Daughtry.
We're in your problem. I need that shirt.
How's everybody doing today?
Doing well, sir. Thank you for joining.
You're welcome. I appreciate the invite.
I didn't hear the ding ding when you came up, so I apologize for that.
Oh, it's okay. I've only been here for about 5 minutes. I've been watching you read laws.
5 minutes. I know, right?
Well, a very interesting thing, although I really kind of wonder, and this is just me, but I'm not that great of a fan of continuing to make Lincoln cents. I kind of think it's a bit, I think it's a bit on the wasteful side.
Yeah.
But I really think that the government should be chasing the pig and not what he left behind, because that's what he's doing. In order to get this really taken care of, they need to chase the pig, get rid of the dollar bill, the $2 bill, and make a dollar coin. It lasts for, I mean, make it out of an alloy that doesn't involve a volatile metal like zinc. And you can make as many dollar coins as you want for 10, 15, 20 cents a piece, instead of making dollar bills for more than $1 and $2 bills nobody cares about or uses.
Yeah.
And you would save tons of money. But the problem is that they've got lobbyists all in the right places, keeping them in business, doing what they're doing now. You've got the zinc people, you've got the copper people, you've got the cotton people and rag linen and all that good stuff. The people who make the rag linen paper that they use to print the notes. You've got the BEP in Washington, and in Fort Worth, you've got the mints that are minting the coins, and they're all like this, trying to figure out who's going to do it. And best when you have a fight that you just leave the fight alone, because nobody wins. And I think that's what's going on. Is we've been trying to get rid of the Lincoln cent since 1985.
Mm-hmm. Decades.
And it hasn't happened yet because the lobbyists get involved.
So everything I read, he can certainly cease production. Here's what else I read, though, that a lot of people didn't think about, and I didn't think about it either. So it costs 3 times as much to make a cent, and it costs twice as much to make a nickel.
Yep.
Okay.
If they cease production of the cent, they have to increase production of the nickel. They are losing money no matter what they do.
Sure.
They're just losing money no matter what they do. Now, I did mention to Frostbyte, I said, so maybe what they're doing is by ceasing production is they're giving these because we get all our planchets for the cent from third parties. I think there's 2 different distributors now that we use. Maybe what they need to do is let more companies into battle for contracts and lower the cost that we pay these third parties to make these planchets. I don't know. We do know that there are new technologies in making dyes, so they can certainly start producing dyes as needed.
Yeah.
With all of that CNC and laser equipment, right?
Uglier and uglier they get.
Ugly, but how much uglier are you going to get?
Well,
Him or the coins?
Really? No, I mean, well, the shield. No, come
To
on.
clarify your comment.
Don't set me up like that.
Chuck knows I'm
Shield
kidding.
cent. I'm just saying. And we know how slow government works too. Even if they decided that they did want to cease so to remove the cent completely from circulation takes an act of Congress. It's going to take legislation and everything else. It's not going to happen in my lifetime, I don't think. And it was almost a disaster from everything I read for Canada and these other countries that removed the cent. It ended up costing them quite a bit of money because they had to do a buyback program and they had to increase the production of their other lower denomination coin. So it's not as easy as people always say, well, Canada did it. Yeah, they did. But go back and read how much it ended up costing Canada to do that. It would cost a lot of money.
But
that's not what he wants.
No, what was it that Canada?
What
was it that Canada did again that you were mentioning? You mean getting rid of their cent in 2012?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they had to do the buyback and then they had to refine their coin, the metal and stuff.
Yeah. Bahamas did it in 2017 or 18. Like Australia did it. But go back and read. It ended up costing them quite a bit of money to do it, and it was a huge pain.
Well, and you're going to have fights forever on this sort of thing because if you've got prices with tax that end up being like a 3 cent ending, where it comes to using cash, they're going to round it up to the nickel because that's the only way you can do it if you don't have cent.
Right, and that's who's that going to cost? It's going to cost the consumer.
Well, unless it ends up, let's see, anything above 2.5 would go to the next 5. Anything below 2.5 would go down.
It would be just like a simple,
it's supposed to, it's supposed to even out the ones that go down and the ones that round up. But I guess that really kind of depends on your tax structure and how you price your items, because there are ways of pricing items to make sure that the final number always comes out above 5.
Now, I have a challenge. I have a challenge for you, and I have a challenge for the people in the chat, because I searched this all day long and could not find anything. Now, I do know that the Mint is a bureau, or whatever word you want to use, of the United States Treasury. However, the Mint, from everything I can find, is self-funded. They are funded through sales. They sell their circulating coinage to the Federal Reserve. They sell bullion coins to bullion dealers. They sell the other stuff to us suckers. And anything left over at the end of the fiscal year goes back into, it's like this revolving thing. The government does not fund the US Mint. So what is the government trying to save? That's what I want to know. If they're looking at agencies and trying to save the government money to pull back some of the money that's basically out there, fraud, waste, and abuse, what does the US Mint have to do with any of that? Because they don't fund the US Mint. So that's where I got confused today. I'm thinking he wants to save he's saying that it costs the government all this money, but it really doesn't, because the US Mint is just it funds itself. The government doesn't fund. Maybe they buy equipment every now and then or something, I don't know, but as far as producing the cent, that's all on the Mint. That's all figured into their budget. So I have a complete thing here, and I'll let everybody else. I'll put this in the chats and let everybody else read this and go through it and see what they can find. But everything I find says that the government does not fund the U.S. Mint. It is called the Mint Public Enterprise Fund. Mint operations are funded through the Mint Public Enterprise Fund, and it is a revolving fund. that does business with the public and the Federal Reserve. They sell circulating coinage to the Federal Reserve, and uses balances in the account to ensure the operating supplies and materials are procured in order to produce inventories for future sales. So if that is true, if the government really does not have a hand in this as far as funding, then this whole discussion and this whole point is moot, right?
Not necessarily. No, because again, if what is the estimate? I think somebody said it in here. Mike for Democracy reports said it'll save 85 million a year. Here's what Chuck said earlier, and this is what I don't understand. Okay, I get the penny, but
it'll save who 85 billion?
What about the Kennedy?
Right.
Who's used that? I mean, like literally, who's used that in the last 20 years?
Well, the mintage is a lot lower in the Kennedy half, and it costs a lot less to produce. The cent and the nickel are the two losers. The two losers. They're the two denominations that the mint loses money on.
So we just continue to make something that nobody wants.
They make bank. Well,
the issue here is that the $half is only a couple of millimeters larger than a quarter. So the price of making them is similar. A quarter costs 15 cents or so to make. So a $half probably costs 20 to 25 cents to make.
Yeah, it's a quarter.
So you're doubling. You're basically doubling in seigniorage the value of the coin when you sell it to the government or when you sell it to the banks. So I think there might be legislation out there somewhere to say that they must collect a certain amount of seigniorage annually on $half or $half production, which is what keeps them making $half. Because $half are, I mean, they're worthless to pretty much everyone, even the people who go through boxes of $half, because they chunk all the new ones back and all they're keeping is the silver.
Well, you're not, and Paul and I talked about this before, with the new advents of minting technology and the way they're doing it, we're not seeing a lot of the old, we're not seeing repunchment marks anymore. I mean, you'll see double dies every once in a while, but nothing like what you used to find, because as they change the minting process, a lot of those old errors go away.
Well, true, and not necessarily true. Double dies still find their way in one way or another. They're always going to do something wrong that's going to double the design on coins, and it's not machine doubling.
Yeah. But nowhere near. I mean, we don't have near the errors that we used to have in modern coins.
But Chuck, if they start laser engraving those dies directly, make a die, use a die, make a die, use a die, make it with the laser engraver, then there's not going to be double dies.
Yeah.
We'll get die chips and die cracks.
And with the horizontal presses, we're seeing fewer and fewer error coins also, which is maybe not necessarily a bad thing, but
if they're laser engraving dies, I want to see nicer, more intricate, deeper designs.
Well, that's what they did with the flowing hair metal. The flowing hair metal was laser. The working die was directly laser engraved. They laser engraved the working dies.
I don't see why they haven't been doing that for years.
So the working dies or the working dies. You're right. Never mind.
Working dies.
They got rid of the whole hubbing process.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which that would get rid of double dies altogether.
Yep.
Correct.
But what happens if they do end up stopping the mintage of the penny? We continue using what we've got until they're gone. Is that how that works?
Yeah. So one of the questions, and I have this.
There's a buyback, right?
Well, not necessarily. So I have one of the questions that was listed by
Canada
was they talk about circulation, right? And they're like, well, the coin's in circulation. It's like, so if somebody has a barrel of 500,000 of them, are these technically still in circulation? And so what do they mean by in circulation? And the answer, well, yeah, I mean, we don't know how many are out there. We don't know how many have been melted. I want to talk about melting these coins later because there's massive, massive health risks associated with melting copper, especially zinc.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get to those in just a little bit. I do want to talk about that because if people are talking about melting it down for the metal content, you got to be careful. But there were questions. It's like, so how many are actually out in circulation? And so it's like they have to figure that out. But that's a major question that's being asked. And I don't remember the name of the senator. I didn't copy the name of the senator who asked that question.
The number of cents in circulation at any one given time is roughly 130 billion.
Yeah, I tried looking up the numbers yesterday and I couldn't find the numbers, but it's way up there.
Penny production last year, and I got the numbers up if you guys want to see these. Let me share the screen if you guys are interested in this.
Certainly. Yeah, that's where I got this year so far. They've already, Chuck, I don't know if you heard what I said, but they've already minted 242,400,000 cents, and it's only February.
Most of them in Philadelphia and a much smaller amount in Denver.
Probably, yeah.
So
let's see what they.
You guys can pull this up from the U.S. Mint. This is public domain. It's easy. Just go to the U.S. Mint and look for production sales figures. You can pull it up by coin, and you just do circulating coinage, and then you choose the year. And these are, let me zoom in just a little bit here. These are and
they've already minted more nickels this year than they did the entire year last year.
This is all 2024. I'm only showing 2024. I can pull up 2025 here in just a second. But you can see that there's no shortage of pennies. I mean, this is just from last year. You see the cents, you see nickels, dimes, quarters. There's the small number you were talking about in retrospect of the Kennedy halves.
Mm-hmm.
The Sacagawea, the other dollars there. But again, 5 billion coins just in 2023. Of that, about 40, well, let's see, 5 billion, what is that? 80%, 70% of them were cents. So 3.2 billion of 5.6 billion. That's what, 70%?
I don't know. I didn't hear. I'm paying attention. I can't do two things at once.
No, I do two things at once really good as long as I can finish one at the first. But let's pull in 2025.
That 2024 mintage of Lincoln cents that you're showing, I don't think is correct. They made 4 times that: 2022, 2021, 2020, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. I mean, they've been making 4 times that many coins every year.
These are mintages directly, circulating coins directly
that's from 2025.
I know. I just pulled up 2025.
Are you sure these are actually mintages and not just number of coins sold to the public?
Those are mintages.
Those are mintages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in fact, you can go to.
There's the total for Lincoln cents already this year.
Yeah, that's the number I had: 160 and 82.
Yeah.
Right, which would mean if they stop making those at this point, boxes of the coins are going to be outrageously expensive and very difficult to find.
Which is crazy.
Well, you look at those numbers and all those zeros make it look really, really big. But there are coins with 10 times that number made, and we seem to have no trouble finding them on eBay for $10 a roll, you know?
The last time there was a mintage like that, and that was for just the Philly, and I think it was the 2009 early years.
Well, what's another?
It might have been the presidency. I can't remember one of those. But that was for both.
The proof 2012, right? That's another key year, right, Chuck? That's a hard one.
But that's not circular coinage.
No, the 2012 is only a key as proof.
As proof,
and it's not really that much of a key. It's just the fact that the proof set sold for so much money, and they went crazy because they didn't make as many proof sets. But they did the same thing in 2013, and in 2014 they actually went down.
Yeah,
So-
Jackalope says the moment you drop a penny, it ain't worth anything. Nowadays, that's true. Yeah.
So the entire mintage for the Lincoln cents last year, Chuck, was 3,225,200,000. So right in line.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
The nickels were low. Well, Denver was, I mean, Philadelphia was just as low as the Denver on the nickels up until the last month. And then they minted like 50,000 of them or something.
Which really bugged a lot of people because there were some people who spent a lot of money on.
Yeah, because
rolls.
people spend a lot of money on
Yeah.
them.
The individual 4 different designs in 2009 were minted in far lower quantity than most other years, simply because there were 4 designs for 1 year.
Right.
The lowest mintage of all of them was the presidency design
Presidency. Yeah,
in Philadelphia,
right.
and that was 129 million.
Right.
Plus 784,000 circulation or uncirculated brass coins, which were in the mint sets.
And the proofs, right?
Well, yeah, and then the proofs.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about
Oh,
P
you're
and D.
talking.
Yeah, I'm
P
just
and D.
talking about P and D mintage. Let's see.
I just don't want, I'm already, here's my whole thing for wanting to be up here and talking to you guys. Of course, you guys who know me can probably guess what I'm about to say. My whole motivation for being up here and talking about this is I am already seeing people saying, where can I get these? Where can I buy them? I need to get them. Don't panic.
Yeah.
Like I said, they in February. So we're only in February and they've already minted 242 million. If they stop now, then maybe you might want to pick some up. I don't know. I'm here. If you do, make sure you store them really, really well because they're copper plated zinc cents.
Right.
That's all I'm going
And
to
if
say.
you get a little
that.
damp, they'll just turn into dust.
I can't tell you how many boxes of coins I've just basically tossed into Coinstar machines from the 80s because they weren't stored perfectly and the coins were worthless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Listen, I have bought copper cents that were green.
Yeah.
And let me give you guys another warning in that regard too.
I just real quick, can I just I'm sorry.
Please,
one
please.
thing, I know it's your show, but
No, you're good.
my suggestion, if you want to start hoarding coins, cents, go to lower years, go to the wheat cents, or some of the harder to find years.
But the whole point is somebody getting something at face value now that's going to be worth a lot more.
No, but Chuck,
that's their
you
point.
can buy 2012 rolls of 2012 Canadian cents for face value. So if you go
Right.
by, if you look at that
But that's
historically,
Canadian coinage.
well, but same with Bahamas. You could buy the last year of the Bahamas cents too. So if you go historically, I mean, and people hate the shield cent. So I mean, yeah, I guess if you're just buying them in hopes that someday, I don't know, man.
Well, the problem with shield cents is you get one that's a year old and it looks like a 1920s wheat cent. They're hammered. They look horrible.
I don't know.
The whole problem in the entire industry at this point in time is that over half of the people who are out there selling coins are profit takers. They're immediate profit takers. They're going to buy something that they can immediately get more money for. This is how what keeps the mint in business of selling coins to the public is that they limit the output, and people run it before they even have it. They're running it for 5 times the price on eBay.
Yeah,
and
like the nickels from last year.
That sort of thing is what has propped up a lot of the selling that goes on online with regard to the new coins when they're issued. The 2024 nickels, the 2024 dimes, and at one point in time it was the 2009 dimes and nickels. And where does it stop? Well, I mean, it only stops when the mint starts producing more coins, or people stop trying to gouge each other's eyeballs out for $1.
Yeah. Well, and so this is the warning I wanted to give you guys, not you two, because you know this. Steve Lapointe just gifted 5 memberships. OC Stacker, John Hanna, Jackknife, The Gambit, and UFOs. Thanks so much, Steve. I appreciate you, brother.
And honestly, I can't see them doing anything before 2027 because next year's are semi-quincentennial. They've already got the designs for all of the coins. I don't know. Maybe they won't do the cent with the dual dates, but I don't know.
Well, and there's nothing to say. We just saw this with the nickel. There's nothing to say that they don't stop this for 8 months and then mint 200 million pennies in November, December. Right. So be careful with that. Don't go all freaky. If you want to get a roll or two, get a roll or two. But
they're gonna look a lot more into this before they do anything.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Just don't freak out.
At least a month to move a finger on it, and then it'll take them another month to actually stop the presses. This isn't one of those things. Okay, put the brakes on the car. We got to stop. No, it doesn't work that way in the government. Nothing does.
No.
I guarantee you, I've worked for the government. Nothing works that fast in the government.
Right. I mean, they've already got the dies made and everything, so I don't know, but
yeah, we'll see. We'll keep watching. Watch every is it Tuesday that they drop the mint figures for the updated week?
End of the month. It's monthly, right?
Well, I thought they did the weekly figures on that Tuesday or something like that by 6:00 p.m.
I don't know.
I'll have to check.
Maybe.
But just check the
sales.
numbers.
You're talking about for the sales.
Well, for sales and the mintages, like if they mint for the next 7 days, you can check that final mintage number. You should see an update. So continue to look for that and see. But
they have not removed. They have not removed the mint sets from the U.S. Mint website. They have not removed the proof sets from the U.S. Mint website. So I don't know. I just think just don't panic.
Well, I don't think they're going to remove anything.
Your bank and
why would they remove
your
it?
bank
They're
and
not
ask your
recalling
teller.
things.
Yeah. No, they're not going to remove anything.
They're not recalling them or demonetizing them. They're talking about stopping to make them.
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm saying that the proof and the mint sets don't come out until the end of the year.
Okay.
Till fall. So they haven't made them yet.
So if you're interested in wanting to know the mintages and stuff on the coins, there's that link. You can click on it. You can navigate through the mint site and check out the mintages. So hopefully you guys find that useful.
Your best bet is to become friends with your teller at your bank.
Jeez.
And say, hey, if you get any of these 2025 rolls in, because they can see through the little holes in the boxes and stuff, give me a call. Just start going in and buying boxes of cents.
My nearest bank branch is 27 miles from my house. I've only been inside of a bank one time in the last 5 years.
Well, you know people.
Well, mine is like 900 miles away.
Yeah. Right.
So I have to use shared banking. I can't, mine's located in another state. So they don't even have the bank or my credit union here. So
I rarely go to a bank for anything.
I go for boxes and if I have to change in coins, but other than that.
Yeah. And I don't have a branch where I could take coins and dump them. I've got bags of junk wheat. I mean, not junk wheat, junk memorials and shields that need to go someplace because they're 1 cent a piece. They're, mangled up, eaten up stuff that just needs to go to the bank or wherever.
You know, they don't do that buyback program anymore for mangled coins. They don't have that program anymore. They got rid of that.
I don't know. It doesn't matter to me, really.
You just get a coffee can, bury them.
Yeah. I mean, I order almost everything I consume on Amazon, and I don't use cash. I buy my gasoline with a card, don't use cash. Uh, every time I go to a restaurant, I don't use cash. I use a card only. I think I've picked up maybe $3 worth of change in a year. And it used to be a lot more than that, but lately it's just gone down to a point where we don't generally use a whole lot of cash anyway. And we were talking, what was it, probably 10 years ago, 10 or 15 years ago, about dropping the whole idea of cash in the first place. And
well, they're talking about CBDCs, central bank, but that's bad news. I really hope they don't go CBDC. That'd be bad.
I don't know. You start talking about that stuff, I'm tuning out.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff gets into conspiracy theories and all other sorts of things that I don't even want to touch.
Yeah.
But the whole point, though, is that the overall general public use of cash has gone way down, especially coins. And the only reason that they make as many coins as they do is because so many people throw them in jugs in their closet and never spend them because they're too much trouble to spend. I bet just in forgotten jars and satchels and purses and bottles of pennies laying in the public houses of 300 million Americans, there's probably billions of dollars in coins just sitting in people's houses.
In the cars and junk lots.
Oh yeah.
In the couches.
Let's not even talk about the billions of coins that are sitting in vaults in different Fed Reserve banks that'll never be used because they were forced to make and order the coins, even though nobody wants them for circulation. We're talking about Susan B. Anthony dollars. They still have most of the circulation of 1981 Susan B. Anthony's are still sitting in vaults. How long ago was 1981?
A little bit.
Like
yesterday.
44 years ago.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Yesterday.
Well, and that was one of the discussions that I was having with a buddy of mine. I'm like, look, you have to understand that there are so many coins stockpiled at these places that, I mean, they have to inventory. And one of the things that when I go to the bank to search coins, the one thing the lady's like is, if you're going to bring them back to me, for God's sakes, bring them back to me in a full box. Right. Please don't bring them back to me with only 25 of 60 or 50 or whatever in a box. Please bring me back a full box. And it's like, well, if I'm not going to roll them, I'll just throw them in the Coinstar. It's fine by me. I don't get charged a surcharge for using it at the bank. But she's like, we hate having to count, because they have to do full on inventories, right? They have to count that all the time. And when they change a box or exchange it, they got to document it and log it, go back and count it and do all that stuff. It's a royal pain in the butt. And some of these places, like these old hoards, I mean, I haven't seen one for a while, but the big sky hoard with the Ike dollars, right? How many Ike dollars was that? 215,000 Ikes or something like that. A massive amount of Ike dollars in the big sky hoard. So that, I may have that number wrong. I can't remember exactly how many that is. I should remember that. Yeah, so there's banks that have mounds and mounds and mounds of God knows what. That's why it's so hard to say what we actually have as far as coin numbers, because we just don't know. We really don't know.
I don't think there is. I mean, I don't think there's any way of knowing, because you're not going to get everybody off their derrieres to take in their bottles and bags full of coins.
Right.
And who's going to count them anyway? Who could afford to do that? Unless you're giving half of face value for the coins and using the other half to pay the people who are doing the work, no one's going to do that anyway. I'm not taking my pennies in for a half a cent.
Right.
That makes no sense.
No
sense.
I'll just wait until they stop making them. Then everybody starts running really short on them. The banks are offering $1.50 a roll again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, they're not gonna end the cent program without an act of Congress. That's just not going to happen.
No, and like I said, I really would like if any of you guys, if any of you guys find any documentation out there from the Department of the Treasury or whatever, that has anything about the mint being, how much the mint is budgeted or anything like that, that the government funds them at all. I would really like to read that because I searched everywhere today. I searched everywhere and all I could find was the Mint's report. So this is what I found. It was the annual budget. So it was the Congressional Budget Justification Annual Performance Plan and Report. That's what I found. And in this report, everything I read tells me, the way I'm interpreting it, maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, I don't think so, that the mint is self-sufficient. And that if there is, and they pay money to the Treasury Department, but I don't find anything that the government funds the mint. Nothing in there, but any budget, nothing. And when you read and they say, yeah, it costs such and such amount a year to produce cents, well, it does, but it's not costing the government that.
We can follow up with Matt and Mike. They may have a contact.
I seem to remember Ventress saying that the mint is not funded by the government. I seem to remember hearing her say that.
And again, this is where I don't, the way I thought she said it, and again, I'm totally up. There's a great chance that I'm wrong, was that with the exception of the machinery, they receive no other funds from the government.
Right.
So they pay for their equipment, which means they're partially funded by the government. So,
but that has nothing to do with what we're discussing today. That he's
the
going
machines
to
are the
cut
core
out
of printing.
the cent because it costs the government. Because the whole point of all they're doing, all of this that Elon's doing and Doge and everything, is they are looking for fraud, waste, and abuse. That's it. They're just looking for they're looking in the military everywhere. They are looking everywhere in all of these government agencies and stuff.
They find plenty of them that are leaving Washington.
They do, and that's the beauty of it, right? So when they started talking about the U.S. Mint, and then I was reading this, I thought, well, why, if they aren't funding the U.S. Mint, then why are they worried that it costs 3 cents to make a cent?
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know. So if any of you guys find any information, you see me around, or you know how to get a hold of me, email me or shoot me a message or something, or email Frostbyte and he'll send it to me. I really would like to read something about that. I don't find the U.S. Mint in any of the government's budget anywhere. So any government agency, and I mean, it would be under the U.S. Treasury, but yeah.
Well, they changed that. I don't remember the year, but they actually changed that. There was a public law. I wish I would have documented that, but there was a public law that actually forced the mint to become pretty much self-sufficient. But I don't recall the public law number. I can pull it up in just a few moments if you guys want me to actually pull up that public law and tell you what year it is, because I think I still have the article open somewhere. So I can look through that if you guys want to know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't read governmentese anymore. I give up that language.
I just don't think it's going to be as easy as people think and the way they're talking, because I think if they remove the cent, then they're going to have to produce more nickels, which will still cost them more money. And whatever. I don't know. Math's hard, man.
Hey, Golden Carey, what's up? Thanks for being a member, Amy. Thank you for being a member. Appreciate that.
But I'm with you, Chuck. It would not bother me one iota if they did remove the cent. It really wouldn't. I would still, because I don't really look at the new cents anyway for stuff.
Well, there are a lot of people
You
that
know,
do.
I'm still looking at the old stuff that they've minted for varieties and errors and stuff. So,
And I don't necessarily, yeah, that's what he says, that it would save the government money. But I think what he's trying to do anyway is just get rid of the waste. Just get rid of the overall waste, because it's wasting zinc. It's wasting copper. It's wasting resources, things that could be used for something else.
And if that's the way, that wasn't the way it was worded. Now, had he worded it differently, then that would make more sense to me. And that makes sense.
And I totally agree with you where it comes to the material it's made of. They could make sense out of aluminum. They could make them out of plastic. They could make them out of anything except zinc, which is a really horrible metal to be using for coins. I mean, they proved that during World War II when they were using zinc on stuff. It's really
reactive,
very disheartening to know that they changed to this in 1982 and haven't yet figured it out ever since then. That is a huge money suck and waste of money anyway. Because I mean, there's some of these Lincoln cents that are issued and they literally last a year or less.
Yep. And Chuck, that's my problem with them.
Horrible.
As far as varieties go, I have a couple varieties that are on my bucket list that I cannot, they're out there. They're like the 97 doubled ear and the 84 and the 83 DDR. I would love to own those, but I cannot find any that aren't compromised, and I will not pay that kind of money for if they're compromised. I just won't, whether they're in a slab or not.
Yeah.
No,
I completely understand. I do not disagree, and you are not wrong.
And with errors, look at the off centers. They're horrible sometimes. This,
Well, it's because they split wide open when they do that.
They're wide open. Yeah. All that tensile pressure, it just pulls it apart.
Yeah. So. No, I totally get it. I fully understand.
So I would not be hurt at all if they got rid of them. It would be cool if they tried to come up with it, but they've been testing different compositions and stuff for a long time too.
Well, one of the most common questions I have fielded about this particular question comes from people who want to know whether or not the value of Lincoln cents in general will go up if they stop producing them. And my answer to that is no.
I don't think so.
All of the coins already minted are already minted. You're never going to get one more 2023 Lincoln cent than is already made. By law, they can't do it.
Yep.
So whatever is out there from 2023 drives its value. The fact that they don't make 2025 cents does not drive the value of 2023 cents. So don't let people gaslight you into believing that you need to go out and buy all the pennies you can because Trump's going to take them all away.
That's a discussion being had too. That was another reason for me wanting to come up here, was to prevent that. Because
fear of missing out, folks, is a horrible selling tactic, and you're going to hear that. So again, you need to protect yourself from that.
And then they're talking. I've seen a conversation or two between people talking about what FDR did when he took away the gold. And he told people they had to turn in their gold. Well, that was a completely different thing.
Yeah.
That was basically demonetizing gold as a standard versus taking little zinc coins out of circulation that don't have any value. I mean, they really have no value. If you really think about it, because I mean, even if you want to buy a piece of gum, it's going to cost you more than a nickel. Why not just use a nickel?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the whole thing about cents is they're not going to demonetize the cent. They never demonetized the half cent.
When and they got Chuck, rid of another thing. Yeah. Imagine how much more time it takes to do a transaction. If they removed the cent, the transaction times would go way down too.
Well, I don't necessarily think that they're going to actually even change what transactions happen. I still think that when you go into a grocery store and you buy something and they say that'll be $1.97 and you present your debit card, you're going to get charged $1.97 because you don't have to have the coins to make the change. The only time that that's going to make a difference is when you hand them a $2 bill. You hand them a $2 bill for a $1.97 purchase, and they have to give you a nickel back.
That's the transaction time I'm talking about.
Yeah. But for the most part, people don't use coins anymore to make transactions. So why do we even need them?
Or they just build in a plus 2 cent algorithm into their till, and it just automatically charges you the 2 cents, so you just get an even number.
Right. Plus 3% for cash use convenience.
Hey, there's a couple of places over by my house that won't accept cash. And we've complained to them, and they're like, we don't have to accept it. There's nothing in the law that says we have to accept it. And it's card only. Like you can go there. Half of the check stands in our Walmart are debit only. Like they're not manned, they're not whatever. There's no cash. So there's a lot of people just that they don't use it. So why staff people for it?
All 2 of the working half of the check stands in our Walmart are unmanned and use card only. All 2 of them, because there's like 35 check stands in that place, but there's only 2 of them that are unmanned but working.
Yeah, but they have clean restrooms.
Well, true. Yeah, their workers have to do something if they're not going to work.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
I know we should all get an employee discount.
Right.
So Barbara Wall, this has been discussed with 3 different presidents over the years. Yeah. So this isn't anything new. The removal of the cent has happened a couple different times, and they've talked multiple times about changing the metallurgical makeup of the coins as well. So they're always doing that kind of stuff, and we don't know what the premise of this discussion is. And Paula could be right; they could be looking at finding ways to reduce the contracting that is done for the copper planchets. It could be something that's just a power play to reduce the amount of money that they're spending. So we don't know the intent of this yet.
I have an entire book on composition, on experimental metals and composition and glass and plastic and stuff that has been tried over the years.
Right. I'm getting ready to produce a video about that for Lincoln Cents.
Are you? That's the book that's what I have, is the book on Lincoln Cents.
Yep. Going to be talking a little bit about the 1965 trials.
Oh, shit. Hang on. I'll show you.
Oh, your house is falling down. The 1965 trials, the 1973 trials, 1942, of course, the composition change in 1962 that most people don't know about. It's those things that I'm going to be focusing on in the video that I'm going to produce about it.
Very cool.
But that's going to be coming up on my channel at some point in the relatively near future. I'm talking about the next couple of weeks.
Well, in both of the polls on both sides, there weren't very many votes. But 60% said they're not going to be buying. A few people did say they were going to. And then 20% said, who cares?
Not going to be buying what?
25%. Yeah, if they come out in rolls. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are people who will buy them, but there's a lot of people who buy them anyway.
I just had my first 2024 Philadelphia rolls 2 weeks ago. And that was in 2025. It was the first year I had never carried a roll of coins from that given year until the following year started.
I don't even think I've even seen a 2024 cent.
I've got rolls of Philadelphia and Denver. Well, you ordered them from me, so you're going to get them soon.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The 2024, I don't think I even seen one.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yep, Roger Burdett.
Yeah.
This is really super interesting.
Hey, what's up, Alex? Absolutely,
This is where I
brother.
read about Martha Washington being used on the.
Oh yeah, the that experimental coin.
Uh-huh. We still use, do you know we still use that
Still use what?
for test strikes? Martha Washington die.
Huh. I didn't even know that.
Back
Isn't
in the
that about the size of a
1700s, right?
half dollar?
There's several.
Oh, there are. They make them smaller
Mhm.
and larger. I wasn't aware of that.
Yep.
I'd like to get one of those. That'd be cool.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I'm sure there's a bunch of senators and Congress
All
people
the
who have them.
different compositions. I don't know. They get all the good stuff.
Like they need it.
I love my books. Love my books.
Right.
Today's Ken Peavy's birthday. Happy birthday, Ken Peavy.
Oh, that's today?
Yeah.
So there is one thing I want to go over. Are you going to talk about that? There is one thing I do want to talk about, and I said this earlier on. So one thing I want to advise against, and I work in the medical field. This was one of the things when I started doing this and hearing people about, well, man, I'm just going to melt it and store.
Oh, geez.
Folks, you do not want to be melting
Alex.
copper or zinc unless you absolutely know what you're doing. And zinc is atrocious. It's horrible. But in the description down below, and in the video, I have listed 2 articles, and they talk about what happens. Zinc is a normal part of your body. You can uptake it in small quantities. But what happens and some of the things that are caused from this. And I want to go through a couple of these. Number 1, gastrointestinal effects. Vomiting, stomach, diarrhea, nausea have reported to be 47% of healthy people with just an increase of 220 milligrams of zinc have suffered massive issues. Neurological effects can sometimes affect the oral consumption or inhalation of high levels of zinc, lethargy, hallucinations. Cardiorenal effects. Higher intakes also can affect your kidneys, liver, and heart. Immunological effects. Zinc plays a role in the immunological function and innate systems. Zinc influences all cell maturation, cytokine processes and production. Therefore, zinc deficiency in excess can lead to significant changes in your immune system and function, leading to various types of cancer. Diseases, zinc toxicity, copper deficiency. You increase one, you decrease the other. It's the same thing when you're doing copper. You can cause zinc deficiencies if you inhale copper dust. You got to be careful with that. Alzheimer's disease, also known as type 3 diabetes.
Are we talking about the same type of zinc, though, here?
We're talking about the same types of zinc.
No, there's only one type of zinc.
Yeah. So whether it be ingested or inhaled, it's the exact same.
But you're saying sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad.
So our body needs zinc.
Right.
But
like
the amount of zinc you're going to be getting from fuming this off, it's toxic.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, global ischemia, ischemia, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, and obviously cancer. So it's bad news, okay? Again, when you're talking about copper, even doing copper, nanoparticles of copper can cause massive issues, and it can also affect antimicrobial agents in things like clothing, which actually put off toxic residue even after the clothes have been cleaned. They give a full-on study. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but the situations are, again, you're talking about pulmonary respiratory, you're looking at cardiovascular, lots of types of cancers. If you're going to do it, number 1, proper ventilation is going to be important, but just stay away from melting zinc. There's way too many health issues associated with it. Just be very, very careful it's bad news. So just be
But
careful
don't
with
panic
it. Okay?
if your child swallows one.
Yeah, it'll tone it.
It will tone it.
It's not,
It comes
we're
out
not
really
toxic
pretty.
in small amounts like that.
You know, my
No.
son went to his doctor because he
But
wasn't gaining.
But you need to be more aware of obstruction than zinc toxicity.
Right.
You know, my dog ate my stash, and
in my case, you know, counting up rolls of coins and counting up coins and bagging coins and all that. From everything Frosty says about the dangers of zinc, I'm going to die next week.
Bye.
Well, it's one thing about touching
Nice
coins,
knowing
but
you.
no, seriously, if you're going to be melting it, and I know people that do it, be very, very careful. It's bad news. Now, Eric, I want to say something, Sarge. It's not against the law to melt copper coins.
No.
What is against the law is if you try to sell it internationally, you try to put it in bullion form and sell it as a bullion. You can put it in art. You can make arts and crafts from it. But if you try to monetary solely from the copper value, that is illegal. So you can keep copper coins themselves, not copper coins as in Chuck, but copper cents. And you can keep those and transfer them, but don't trade them internationally, and don't put them in bullion form and then try to sell it, because that process is actually illegal. You can put it in bullion form and keep it for yourself.
You can press them.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do with them.
Figuratively and literally, because I actually have bags and bags and bags of copper pennies.
Yeah, the biggest one there is international. That's the one that'll really get you in trouble.
Well, yeah.
So, and that goes with any country.
But so how? Let me just throw a little.
Spit it out.
A little ring. Let me. Don't rush me, Chuck. Let me throw a little wrinkle in this. How is it that you can take wheat cents to a coin shop and they will buy them for more than melt value?
Well, because they have a marketable value. That's how.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
They're collectible coins. They have a marketable value.
Okay.
It's just like copper cents. You can sell copper cents for any price someone will buy them for. But you're not melting them and turning them into bullion. You're
so we're not talking about just melting then.
Well, we would be, because if you're just selling the pennies, there's no law about that. There's nothing against that.
Well, there's no law against melting them, but they're buying them for more than melt.
Well, they're not melting them though. I don't understand. Oh. They're not buying them for more than melt to turn around and melt them. They're selling them at a profit to other people.
That's my question, Chuck.
I'm lost.
That was my question, Charles.
Sugar in your drink?
See what happens when you rush me?
Who made your coffee? The Irish?
Stupid question. That was a really stupid question.
Okay, I'm glad it wasn't just me who wasn't following.
Yeah, I'm like,
It was a really stupid question. I just hadn't said anything for a few minutes. I needed to talk.
Oh, well, I'll give you something to talk about.
I bet you will.
Yeah.
You just behave.
You're looking for something to talk about. How about the people who would come up with the question? Now, this is just a hypothetical situation because I really don't know or care. But what about the people that would come up with the question of, well, I've been hoarding copper pennies for years because I think they're going to go way up in value, and eventually the government will pull the law that makes it illegal to melt them, and they're going to go up in value. Does getting rid of mintage of the coin altogether as a denomination change anything about the value of doing that?
No.
I can tell you that the inverse of that is yes.
Right.
So if you find more, it can have an adverse effect on price. But the other way, I would say no.
Not if you're just melting them.
See, the thing I look at and where I come from on this is the same as are pennies worth more because they quit minting them?
No.
If
My
they're in a
answer,
barrel in somebody's yard or they're melted into a copper bar, they're still not out there for anybody. Like they wouldn't be counted in
true.
the numbers of, right?
My answer to that is due to normal attrition, as it would always be the case for any older coin, they automatically leave us through gutters or parking lots or whatever. That's been going on with the copper cents for years and years. And one of the reasons why you may have a hard time finding copper in your boxes of pennies that you're going through is because since they quit making the copper cents in 1982, there have been more than 10 times that number of coins minted in zinc, and they are newer and easier to get. Thus, the copper cents are naturally attritioned down and out. The older things get, the fewer you're going to find, regardless. The answer that I would have to that is that the hoards of copper cents are still out there. Copper cents last 25 to 50 years in circulation, even longer than that if they're in barrels or buckets in your closet or coffee cans or whatever. So no,
Chuck, they estimate survival populations anyway. They just estimate the the surviving populations anyway.
of
Yeah.
what?
So of coins when they
Okay.
calculate the
Absolutely,
rarities and things like that.
there is no way to actually count them.
No, and you'll see this in slab coins too. The population of slab coins is quite frequently wrong because somebody
It's
takes it, they
always
crack.
wrong.
Yeah, they
It's
take it,
always
they
wrong.
crack it out.
It's always wrong.
So don't look at that and think you got anything special. You have a population
Yeah.
of 2, it might be the same damn coin.
Well, that would make it even more special now, wouldn't it?
Other than the fact that it looks like there's 3 now, or 10
Well,
because the same guy tried to pop it out 6 or 7 times to get that plus or that star.
Oh, my thing is, and I think my final answer about all the questions that anyone would ask with regard to what effect does stopping the mintage of Lincoln cents do to collecting? Zero, none, no effect, no effect at all.
Maybe other than maybe it'll bring more people into the hobby.
Well, now you finally got an end to the Lincoln cent, so they can make all the books finalized.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Exactly.
we've been making this same basic design of coin for what 118, 117 years. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 2007. I
I
still
feel-
use it because I don't use it for mintages. I just use it for basic coin facts.
Basic information. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you could use it for mintages because once the year is over, they're never going to make any more of them.
They're never going to make any more. Yeah, I don't use them for price guides. I use them for mintages and basic coin information, but I don't ever use
Right.
them for pricing guides.
This
Yeah,
this is when I first started collecting coins. Was the
This
year
is
after
one
my
of
daughter
only
was
two-
born.
one of only 2 collectibles that I know about that definitely have a finite population from which you can choose. And one of them is stamps, because once the postal system stops making a particular stamp, they're not making them again.
Yeah.
And coins, because once the mint stops making coins and paper notes, because once the series is over, it's over. And unlike baseball cards or something like that, if Topps decided they wanted to go back and make the 1969 baseball cards again, there's nobody stopping them. It's their license to do it.
You have a
Same
bunch
thing-
of ticked off collectors, though.
Well, yeah, for sure. But same thing with like Ty and the Beanie Babies. They could go back and start making a bunch of those again. Nothing's stopping a corporation from deciding to make a product again and bring back all of the materials to make a product the same way they made it before, to where you wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. But the United States Mint can't make 2002 pennies anymore.
Right.
Just can't happen.
Yeah, Chad, I wonder, I would like to see them play around with making the nickel clad. I think that there may be some way that they could do that and make it more cost efficient. I don't know.
I would think it would be the other way around, actually. I would think the other coins being made of an alloy would be cheaper than making them out of clad.
Really?
Yeah. I think alloys are cheaper to do. Just in the pure nature of clad and the sheets that are required to bond together and the bonding process itself, and the fact that the center, the core of a quarter is pure copper, but a nickel is made of a 75% copper alloy.
Yeah.
So, the alloy can be a silver colored alloy. It doesn't have to be copper colored because it's mostly copper.
But isn't there more that goes into refining and stuff like that and creating the alloy than there is to making the clad sheets rolling out?
Not necessarily, because every diamond quarter required 3 sheets to put them together. The nickel only required 1.
Yeah, but they still have to melt and refine and do all of that with the metal, right?
Sure.
With the nickel.
Yeah, sure.
But
They used to do that. They used to do that right at the mint.
nickel isn't that good of a metal to use.
they
Well, I don't see any way of them getting rid of nickel, but we use it for everything.
Yeah, and that's correct too. He says there's too many there's too many cents in high grade for there to be a real effect. That's an issue too. But like I was saying, the other way, the inverse of what he was saying is also true, and that is if you have something that's high grade and then you find 10,000 of them, now the price for that is going to drop,
value. Yeah.
right? So sometimes hoards can screw you. And what was that 1892 S Morgan? Is that the one that was the very expensive one, and then they found 1904 found like 30,000 of them, and then all of a sudden that $800 coin became a $60 coin.
I think that was part of the GSA hoard.
Yeah. Oh.
I think it was part of the GSA hoard. When GSAs came out, people were buying GSAs in 1973, I think it was, and a whole bunch.
Is it the GSA or the Binion?
I don't think it was Binion. I think it was the GSA. Although I could be wrong because I really don't know a whole lot about those. Those poisonous coins.
I think it was the Binion hoard. That the rare variety that rarity was done.
With the 1904.
Barbara says GSA. I thought it was Binion.
I don't know. I tried to look at the Binion's $1 million, and they don't have it on display anymore.
Really?
Nah, they took the display down years ago. Because I actually went into the casino and asked them about it, and I found a manager, and the manager says, "Oh, they took that down in like 1994." Well, crap.
For the $1 million display?
Yeah. They used to have $1 million display.
I remember going as a kid and looking at that. It was just like, wow.
Right? $1 million right there.
When we were young, my mom, she played poker for the house in Vegas. And so, I think, I don't remember how old I was. But she used to do that. So my grandfather and my grandmother would go there every once in a while. And we'd go see all sorts of stuff and check stuff out. And they'd show us all those cool things. So the Binions, I know of different people, but my mom can talk about pit bosses and stuff that have big names and all the crazy characters that came through. She's fun to talk to about history. I should have her on one day.
Now Fremont doesn't look anything like it used to.
No,
it's dangerous.
No,
now.
I've never been.
Crazy.
I've been to Vegas twice and never been to Fremont Street. I want to go. Isn't that where you can do the zip line?
Yeah, sure is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. The last time I was there was probably 5-6 years ago. I'm sure they still have it open, but
God, I haven't been to Vegas.
So fill the board. Yeah, the Binion hoard was smaller. The Redfield hoard was bigger than the Binion hoard, and then the GSA hoard was the first one.
I watched the a documentary on that Binion.
I did a
Yeah.
video on Binion and Redfield and the GSA, and yeah, I like my horde stories and the Big Sky horde and the Northwest. I haven't done the Northwest yet.
It didn't. I think it wasn't. And Binion and his wife get killed. I don't remember. what
So
happened
Binion's
there.
girlfriend actually killed him.
Girlfriend.
It was his fiance girlfriend and her boyfriend, who was the guy that he hired to bury the safe out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah. It was a while ago I watched it, but yeah.
Oh,
Sounds
he's
like
going to be flying through San Antonio. All right, dude. Well, be well. It should be a little bit foggy, so be careful when you fly by here. I'll be briefing leadership in the morning.
So today is the 10th. This would have been the day that I showed up to San Antonio Lackland Air Force Base.
Woohoo!
Oh, nice.
And started my 0 week. I actually started my week 1 on Valentine's Day.
No.
But the 10th was my 0 week.
And that's why she loves the Air Force.
You were lucky. I was dumb enough to go in when I started on December 8th. So I was there for both Christmas and New Year's Day.
Yeah.
I went in October 3rd.
I see you got out of it all before.
Well, I went in and froze my butt off, and then I got out and went to Shepherd Air Force Base and sweated my ass off.
There's a lot to be said for having a military experience. I see a lot of people that were never in the military and just don't understand it.
Yeah, I'll show you something. I just gave this to my grandson. Hang on, I'll be right back.
Esprit de corps, man. There's something about it. A lot of people don't understand.
That's right.
The relationships that are there. It's a true brotherhood, a camaraderie that, unless you've been around it, you just don't get it. Booyah! Go Navy. Navy beat the snot out of Army this year. What were you in? You were in the Navy too, right, Chuck?
No. United States Air Force.
Oh, that's right. You were Air Force. You and Paula both.
Yep. Active duty Air Force for 10 years.
Yeah, me, myself, and Ray were all Navy. So, very cool. Well, does anybody have any questions regarding the discussion tonight? I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Like I said, it was kind of quick. I had done a little bit of research on it in the morning, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go live. And yeah, Chief is Navy too. That's correct. Eric, well, we figured that out, SFC. Yeah.
Starting first class only means one thing.
I dug this out and gave this to my grandson.
Your Earth Pig. There you go. Amy Harrell, Air Force.
Yeah.
Cold weather gear. I had muckalucks.
I still got my pea coat.
So awesome. Best coat ever.
No, I still got my pea coat. That thing. Amazing.
My grandson. He was so happy.
Hey, my mom's in chat. Hey, we were just talking about you.
14, he thinks he's the coolest thing.
Who did you play for when you shield for poker? My mom's in chat. She used to play for the house. She's like,
I had my dress blues too. Of course I do. Still have all my ribbons and everything on them.
The ribbons. All my ribbons.
Everything.
I've got a display of my ribbons, but I don't know exactly where they are.
I still have everything on my blues.
Yeah, I got rid of all that stuff.
She worked at Aladdin's.
Just in case I ever need to put it on, you know. Not like it would fit me.
Right.
Hey, thanks, Jackalope. I appreciate that. Member for 14 months. Great discussion. Thanks, Frosty, Chuck, and Paula. My mom used to play that for the house at Aladdin's.
Oh. Actually, I think I actually went inside that place one time.
Aladdin's. Me as a plank owner, that is true. My very first member.
Wow. Well,
All right, folks. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I need to go spend some time with the kids and take the dogs out for a walk.
Yeah, I gotta go too. But
It's 8 o'clock. My wife's
okay,
probably
well,
awake,
it was
getting ready to
fun.
go.
Don't panic.
right.
Yep.
Don't be
Don't-
all
don't
freaked
panic
out
and
about
don't
the scent, you
overbuy.
guys. And no, don't.
Don't freak out and
Just
start
wait,
buying rolls
just
of pennies for
wait.
$25.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
That's right.
Right.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right, you folks. Hey, take care. Thank you all for being here. Be well, be blessed, and we'll see you guys in the stream.